on in the smaller groups in the forest during the week, but it could have been real, it could not have been real, whatever. Still bizarre. And what they do then is they take the body off and they put it on a slab here under the owl, and they set a fire. Now, what you hear very clearly on this tape, whatever the background, is when they set fire to this effigy body, you hear a blood-curdling, bloody scream. Now, one of two things are happening here. Either they're actually doing it to somebody, or they've actually put a blood-curdling scream on the tape to blast out as part of the ritual. Either way, these are the people running our world and deciding to bomb Iraq or Kabul or anywhere they frickin' choose. And 6 billion people are watching it. We don't have to. And if we didn't, they couldn't. So the symbol of the Bohemian Club, as they call it, is the owl. Now, the owl is significant to the Illuminati going right back to Babylon. This is an original Babylonian depiction of a Babylonian goddess, and they are guarded by the owl. How interesting that I should find this on a map of the Congress building in Washington. All I've done is drawn a red line around the roads within the complex of the Congress building, and it's got the Congress in its belly. How appropriate. Now, this next one I have done absolutely nothing to. It is just a straight shot from a street directory you can find anywhere in Washington today. An owl with the Congress in its belly standing on a pyramid. Everything is symbolism to these people. Washington is absolutely awash with it.
Before we go, you and George Bush were both members of Skull and Bones, the secret society at Yale. The rule is, if someone mentions Skull and Bones, you walk out of the room. If you're both in a both in a presidential debate, and the moderator says Skull and Bones, do you both leave the podiums?
I doubt it.
You'll hang in there.
I think you'll see both of us have a terrific... You know, I'd love to have a debate with the president right now. There's so much to talk about for our country.
It's so sick that we can't talk about it.
Skull and Bones is so tiny, that's what makes it staggering. There are only 15 people a year, which means there are about 800 living members at any one time.
We know that a lot of bonesmen have gone to positions of power.
That's what Skull and Bones' purpose is, to get as many members as possible into positions of power.
Though there is this mythology about Skull and Bones pulling the strings of government. You're saying the fact is Skull and Bones.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so sick that we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322.
First of all, he's not the nominee, and look, I look
Are
forward.
you prepared to lose?
No, I'm not going to lose.
So concealed from government and public knowledge that the 10 or so figures who attended were told they could only use their first names in addressing each other. After this bill was constructed, it was then handed over to their political frontman, Senator Nelson Aldrich, to push through Congress. And in 1913, with heavy political sponsorship by the bankers, Woodrow Wilson became president, having already agreed to sign the Federal Reserve Act in exchange for campaign support. And 2 days before Christmas, when most of Congress was at home with their families, the Federal Reserve Act was voted in, and Wilson in turn made it law. Years later, Woodrow Wilson wrote, in regret, Congressman Louis McFadden also expressed the truth after the passage of the bill. A world banking system was being set up here, a superstate controlled by international bankers, acting together to enslave the world for their own pleasure. The Fed has usurped the government. Now, the public was told that the Federal Reserve System was an economic stabilizer, and inflation and economic crises were a thing of the past. Well, as history has shown, nothing is further from the truth. The fact is, the international bankers now had a streamlined machine to expand their personal ambitions.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
For example, from 1914 to 1919, the Fed increased the money supply by nearly 100%, resulting in extensive loans to small banks in the public. Then, in 1920, the Fed called in mass percentages of the outstanding money supply, thus resulting in the supporting banks having to call in huge numbers of loans, and, just like 1907, bank runs, bankruptcy. This is Aaron Russo, a filmmaker and former politician. To his left is Nicholas Rockefeller of the infamous Rockefeller banking and business dynasty. After maintaining a close friendship with Nicholas Rockefeller, Aaron eventually ended the relationship, appalled by what he had learned about the Rockefellers and their ambitions.
I got a call one day from an attorney woman I knew, and she said, would you like to meet one of the Rockefellers? I said, sure, I'd love to. And we became friends, and he began to divulge a lot of things to me. So he said to me one night, he said that there's going to be an event there, and out of that event, you're going to see, we're going to go into Afghanistan, so we can run pipelines from the Caspian Sea. We're going to go into Iraq to take the oil and establish a base in the Middle East, and we're going to go into Venezuela and try and get rid of Chavez. And the first two they've accomplished. Chavez they didn't accomplish. And he said you're going to see guys going into caves looking for looking for people that they're never going to find. You know, he was laughing about the fact that you have this war